Welcome back to another on Wrestling and to another edition of AEW Collision Out of 10, and this was the final episode for Forbidden Door, so AEW's in full hype mode, but still managed to make enough action for this week to be a fun show, including Max Caster's Open Challenge, and Takeshita versus Ishii, Young Bucks versus Paragon. But we start things off with the Con Callis family versus Takahashi and Skyfly. It was a hot crowd, but began booing when Don Callis came on stage. He gave Hechicero a big introduction before everyone came out for the first match. Hechicero teamed up with Josh, Lance and Rocky to take on Takahashi, Sky, and Dante and Darius. Takahashi and Alexander started off with exchange of strikes, even some interference from Romero. Takahashi managed to maintain control. As expected, this was a series of different face-offs. We got to see so many different combinations, so nobody ever got too much time in the ring before needing to tag out. This match had some fun action, but there wasn't much to cling here. This didn't feel like a story being told in the ring, and there wasn't much of a feud to care about. It just felt pretty random. The final couple of minutes had a lot of action, allowed everyone to shine. Skyfly took out everyone else, while Takahashi hit his finisher on Romero for the win. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Moving on into Isla Dawn, who made her AEW debut, but she wasn't given an easy squash like most newcomers. She was thrown in the deep end against Megan Bain. The Glasgow native got a warm welcome from her fellow countrymen, but she immediately found herself in the mat thanks to the mega assist. Dawn didn't go down without a fight and managed to get in a few shots, but for all intents and purposes, this was a squash designed to make Bain look like a monster. It may not be exciting, but it was effective. Bain scored the win after a short comeback from Dawn. This was fine for what it was, but it would have been cool to see the hometown wrestler getting a slight more offense. 5 out of 10. As we then got Queen Aminata and Willow Nightingale take on Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Willow made her entrance while Aminata and Bain was leaving the arena. Hart and Blue came out with Thekla by the side, so no unfair advantage. Blue was able to take control for a moment thanks to the distraction from Hart, but Willow immediately overpowered her and turned the tables. Blue and Hart took control with some double team tactics. Aminata was in the ring and we went to a break with the Queen struggling to regain her footing. We returned as Willow hit a pounce to send Blue out of the ring. It took both women to ZDT Nightingale to stall the momentum. It was a solid tag match that was going to lead to more fans introducing tag titles because they definitely worked together. Aminata got the win for her team by pinning Blue, and Sekla came out and attacked her as soon as the match was over. Nightingale made the save, but Bain and Penelope Ford came out to make it an uneven fight. This brought Harley Cameron to the ring and was followed by Chris and helped give the babyfaces the advantage they needed to come out on top. Yeah, good little segment, set up a match on a buy-in tomorrow, so not against it. 6 out of 10. We then got Max Caster having an open challenge, and this time it was against Zack Sabre Jr., who got a huge pop. Nigel McGuinness watched from the commentary table. Even Nigel had to put over Sabre's technical ability as he watched him out wrestle Caster with ease. ZSJ won in about half the time on the clock and immediately confronted McGuinness. Even though it was a very short match, you can't help but be impressed with Sabre every time he performs. Bones ran down and attacked Caster after Sabre had left. Billy Gunn came out to stop the attack and tried to talk sense into Bones, but his words fell on deaf ears. So yeah, it is another classic Caster shot, but further two stories in a pretty decent way. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Before our next match was Takeshita taking on Ishii, returning after his G1 climax win. Like most of Ishii's matches, this was an exchange of strikes. Both men unloaded with forearms and appeared to be evenly matched. They took the fight out of the ring where the Stone Pilled Ball took control. We returned to see Takeshita beginning to build momentum. These are two men who like to hit hard and leave bruises, and that's exactly what they did. Takeshita is one of AEW's secret weapons. He seems to be capable of having a good match with anyone, and with an opponent as skilled as Ishii, it wasn't hard. Ishii put up a great fight, but Takeshita scored the clean win, which probably makes sense in his first back match after a great triumph. So yeah, 7 out of 10. As we then got Big Bill taking on former WWE star Mark Andrews, but this was not the debut of a promising new talent in AEW. A quick match and a dominant squash. Even Caster vs ZSJ had more meat on the bone in this one. Before we moved on to the Gates of Agony versus Grizzled Young Vets, while both teams have lost a lot of credibility, the outcome of this match was more obvious before it got started. GYV are not being pushed on AEW TV right now, and Gates of Agony have been gaining traction ever since aligning with Ricochet. Drake and Gibson made for a solid challenge, but they were great wrestlers, but nobody expected them to win. Despite the predictability of all, it was a fun match that showcased both teams in a good way. GYV is one of those teams that AEW can push at any time, and all the fans will be fine with because they've got so much credibility in a win. Gibson was sent out of the ring by Leona before Drake was planted by both men to give Gates of Agony the win. As we then moved on to our main event, Young Bucks versus Paragon. O'Reilly and Strong were in the main event, taking on Nick and Matt. They were playing up to their non-EVP status. KR and Matt started for their teams with a nice little exchange of counters and takedowns. The Bucks used some of their signature double team offense to take control as we went for a break. As the match progressed, it got more competitive and allowed all four men to do some great work. This felt like the kind of tag match AEW built its early foundation on. As KR had Matt in an ankle lock, Okada came in, distracted him. This allowed the Bucks to hit their finisher for the win. Swerve came out and was taken out by Okada. So yeah, a good little finish. kind of set out the match on Sunday, but also a really decent match between these two teams as well. So yeah, it worked quite nicely and gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Overall, AEW Collision gets a 6 out of 10 from me. I thought, yeah, this was a really decent show. Collision this week. Lots of great stuff on it. Some really decent matches. Enjoyed the main event and yeah, enjoyed seeing Takeshi back in action. So yeah, on the whole, a strong show. And yeah, gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.